Ladies and gentlemen, if you play on Xbox and you opened up Twitter today, you will think Xbox imploded. The PlayStation fanboys can't even wait long enough to celebrate Project Amethyst that AMD is actually putting up as its initiative in collaboration with AMD. You know how collaborations have been treated on the Xbox side, right? Now, the PlayStation fanboys are going to have to treat this with either the same gloves or this is going to get thrown back in their face. They've been very loud today about everything Xbox. They've started even talking about how the 60% of gamers that don't buy games is the case against Game Pass. They're trying to foment this. And as much as I wanted to sit here and actually go ahead and turn by turn make videos on how these people are trying to lie to you and sow dissension, Dirk Griggity's podcast popped up on my feed. I was like, man, everybody pulled up. And Paris Lily is also here. Shout out to you, gentlemen. And I said, you know what, let me listen in. And right at the point I listened in, Paris said something absolutely internet breaking. And gentlemen, you guys laughed over it, but man, you got to understand that this is exactly the climate that Xbox users are trying to interact with their gaming in. Let me play exactly what came up in this particular context.
The 5 pairs, dude. How anybody could take that rumor serious is insane. Hardware comes out next week.
Here's what I will say about that. Xbox has done enough changes to their business that you at least had to think about it. You're like, well, would
That's
they?
true. That's true. Now, when we heard the rumors, I was kind of like, no, they said they'd have another console, but I had to double think like.
That is true, Mr. Dirt. They did say, Miss Sarah Bond said that they were going to have another console. It was not your brain that was causing issues. You were right on the money because these liars that y'all are surrounded by, these vipers, literally have to come out here and snake fork tongue their way into the conversation at every given moment. They are dishonest, and now that I've known that they're dishonest, I really need to basically take that approach and now point everything back in their faces to understand and make sure that there's a mirror in front of them. These guys have a lesson to teach me in hypocrisy. As big of a hypocrite as I am, I have a lot to learn from the so-called PlayStation fanboy talking head. These guys are quite amazing at what they do. But listen.
Did they cancel it? I really did think that. Then I had to say, okay, no, cool, they didn't cancel it.
Of course. Sarah Bond just came out. This is what I'm telling you. Sarah Bond comes out. She and Lisa Su, I hope y'all know that Lisa Su is literally the boss of AMD. Like Mark Cerny and Jack Hune has his own role in the technology piece, but Lisa Su is literally the face and the boss of AMD, having taken that company and revolutionized it. When she came out and spoke about Xbox, I could not believe my eyes where I started seeing some people who I would think are intelligent actually start talking about these crappy rumors. This is what even made me actually now even confirm more that many of these folk who claim to be intelligent about the conversation are also liars. That's what they are. But keep listening though.
So some people are still thinking the console is a year and a half away, possibly, or 2 years away. Could it still get canceled?
I will say this without getting in trouble. Mm-hmm. Someone in the gaming industry, I'll keep it that vague, sent me a text and just put eye roll emoji. And I go, okay, this ain't real.
They laughed at it. In fact, now y'all are having a great time. But the podcast is still going on, by the way. I literally clipped this and I ran to you guys and I said, guys, you all are surrounded. And maybe I'm the one that's just discovering this. Maybe Dirt, shout out to you, bro. You can laugh because maybe you've been in this for such a long time, but I'm discovering that these snakes out here are very deceitful. They are some of the most deceitful people out there that will gaslight, lie, and throw all kinds of shade when they don't have their way. They're going to kick and scream because they want to make sure that anybody else looks like they're crazy. These people are some of the most dangerous people, man. I will never entrust myself to any of these folk. This is the kind of thing that I'm telling you. Somebody who would lie for something so trivial, where it's non-consequential and inconsequential, I cannot tell you how much that scares me. That I would ever think that this kind of person wants to show integrity when things are actually serious. This is how bad it's become. And they are actually fomenting this with other people around around the conversation that are doing the same thing. I literally said this. We made videos. They saw videos. They heard Xbox say consoles. Do you know what many of them started to say? And I'm not going to point any names. This is a video where I will not point any names because I'm throwing out some heavy accusations. I mean, I'm saying the words liar, snake, lack of integrity. So you understand that if you're going to point out an allegation like that, it's going to have to be very contextual. But let me go ahead and point this out. As AMD made this announcement, a lot of people are either, in a sense, fawning over this, saying, oh, look, and like my conversation I told you. Remember when I actually made that 3-part video where I asked that one Twitter user, I said to him, okay, why is it that when PlayStation advertised its own partnership with AMD, how come no one said that, oh, it's a lie, that PlayStation has lied before, therefore we can't believe them? Do y'all remember that? I actually made that connotation because this partnership video that they're bringing out here is not new. Do you understand what I mean? It's not a new partnership, video. This is just them basically bringing and, getting the ads to actually fly, more and more in the sky. But again, look, let me show you right here. See, Lisa Su, she doesn't tweet much. She's already gone ahead and tweeted this. Hard at work. She replied to this, sorry. Great to see you in Austin. Love our deep partnership. But she also had retweeted a previous one from months ago, which is actually right here. This was in July 1st. And I said, when AMD and PlayStation partnered, why were y'all going ahead and fluffing it up? Yet, when AMD, Lisa Su, went ahead and announced or in a sense, propagated what Sarah Bond said, y'all were acting a fool. That's why Paris said he got that text message. And I know, Paris, you don't want to get into trouble from someone in the gaming industry. Everybody look with your eyes. And eye roll emoji. I feel so bad for you Xbox guys. Like, I really do. At this point, I feel so bad for the stuff that you have to deal with. And you know what? I'm like, okay, if I feel this way, I wonder how some of you either feel. Either you probably went through this phase of maybe you were frustrated, and I'm frustrated. Maybe you went to the point and now you're in the phase of indifference and you're laughing at these clowns because they're clowns. They're full-blown clowns. That's what they are. I've never seen anything like it, where you can see A and B lined up by each other and you say B is not, the thing. Whereas A and B are basically both holding an apple and showing you the apple like right in front of you. A holds an apple, B holds an apple. You say, no. The apple that B is holding is basically not the same as the apple that A is holding. And it's like, bro, why not come in here and try the apple yourself? No. Because you want to lie. Y'all want to foment doubt. Y'all want to basically be right at any cost, and it's not going to work out. Xbox has now come to PC. As I've said, I'm going to ensure that we now paste these PlayStation fanboy schemes on full blast. The whole world now is going to be seeing this because, it's no longer a fight. It's no longer an argument where Xbox is going. They're already going to go ahead and pretty much, dial in with PC. That's perfect. But for those of you on PlayStation that are lying, that are basically saying all these lies, that are propagating all of them, and are trying to turn things around, because you know that if you actually sit here, this is what they know. They know that if they sit here and talk about Project Amethyst, they're going to be called hypocrites. That's why they don't want to talk about it. That's why they're making noise about Xbox, even on a day like this. Every single time. You know why? Because they'll have to admit that Lisa Su, who's pretty much propagating all this stuff, also already knows what's going down. Some are even saying, oh, it's not a hybrid, right while they're celebrating a hybrid called Project Amethyst. As said by Lisa Stone and Mark Cerny and stuff, they said 2 pieces of amethyst split from the same stone. Bro, if that is not a hybrid, I don't know what else is, but it's okay. We're going to start from the top to the bottom, from the left to the right. We really need to put this thing on blast. And welcome to PC, Xbox gamers. The PlayStation gamers are the ones that are still in denial. They don't really know that they're already on PC. Don't look under the hood of your console. You might not like what you see. Peace out.